Hello again, everyone. Even though I'm late by like a couple of days, I firstly want to open this MOSER with a quick congrats to MOSER. MOSER has been going for quite exactly a year now, and it's been quite a few rides. So as for the anniversary, I made a little feedback with a form to get your thoughts on MOSER and what you think we should improve or change about it. Even though there were some funny replies, most were genuine. And I did get something that got repeated a lot, and it was to perhaps change the aesthetic part of the review to something more inclusive. So, from now on, aesthetic has been changed to editing, and now creativity has its own critic point. So the total is up to 30, and we rate creativity out of 5. Also, even though we got 11 shows this month, I'll still have one guest for this episode, and that's this little rainbow nerd, 𝕊𝕊
Hello.
That's it? Seriously? Couldn't have come up with something else?
I'm a man of little word.
Cut your shit and introduce yourself. I literally have no time for this.
Seeing as I can't dramatically introduce myself as a man of much intellect by quoting random people and saying next to nothing, it appears that my name will have to do. Hi, I'm 𝕊𝕊𝕃𝕊 also known as Finnick, and today we're going to be looking at some shows. Let's get into it.
So, let's finally start this MOSER. MOSER's anniversary. MOSER20's June. Wait, what the hell?
Hey, you piece of shit! Did you miss me?
Oh god, not you again. No, not happening.
You thought it would be that easy? Ha! Please, Amo, you know that you can't shut me down that quickly, or at all, for that matter.
Well, Finn, take your shit and run before this gets hectic.
Oh, this can already get way more than just hectic.
About time I get out of that hellhole. You can't just expect me to sit down there rotting in a pit of death. Speaking of which, Quicksand, why did you have to throw me down there in the first place?
I can do whatever the hell I want! Nevi, what the hell? You locked me in the basement. If I were twinsies, hello?
Okay, please tell me this can't get any worse.
To be free again. Being stuck in a room with these morons was getting hella annoying.
And why did I open my mouth?
I'm honestly surprised I actually fit in that tiny ass basement. Also, it smelled horrible in there.
God damn it. Wait, everyone is here but Jordan and Sydney. Where's the British lad and the clever?
I threw them in my quicksand and they, kinda died.
Well, that is a very valid excuse not to show up. But I guess you're all now joining me on the anniversary, coincidentally enough.
What do you mean by coincidentally enough exactly?
It means you're a cheeseball looking clown, obviously.
And it's all thanks to me. Again. Anyway, let's actually get into this MOSER.
MOSER20's June.
Why am I friends with you people?
I don't know why, but I'm getting some Spirited Away vibes from this.
I have never been left as half confused from an object show as I did with this one. Everything just seems to happen all at the same time and it's all just in a big mash. Like, I get that it's a part of the vibe, but something about it is just so confusing. Stepping into the show with so much dialogue and no clear explanation.
Yeah, the writing was all over the place. The voice acting was okay-ish. Some of the mic quality made it hard to hear, but at the same time I found a lot of the voices soothing, like Tortilla. As for the animation, it was alright for the most part. There were some scenes that felt unfinished, but I liked some aspects of it.
The animation style is pretty good, it's pretty creative, and there's some really awesome shots. Even though it looks like it's just unfinished doodles, again, it adds to the whole show vibe.
I had a few mixed feelings for the designs. On one side, the backgrounds and assets felt bland, but on the other hand, it had this uniqueness to it. Honestly, I don't know what to say about it.
For creativity-wise, I can understand from this only episode that this is gonna be something like modern objects. There's no host, nor challenge, and it follows like 3 objects, and I really want to see where this will lead. Editing-wise, I think it's pretty okay, other than the voices clashing in together and making everything confusing. The music was well volumed and it suited the scenes.
For it being a non-competition show, I gotta say, I'm pretty excited on how the next episodes will unfold. So I think it's time to rate the episode. I'll give writing 3.5, voice acting 3, animation 4, design 3.5, editing 5, and 5 for creativity, making my score a 24 out of 30.
I'll give writing 3, voice acting 4, animation 4.5, design 4, and editing 3.5, and creativity 5. A total of 24 out of 30. And now, onto the second review.
Before I say literally anything about the actual show, stand Gummy Bear or else I'll track you down and force feed you cheese balls.
Honestly, this is quite a fine object show. The animation is really smooth and the lip sync is pretty on point.
Really can't tell if it's a joke show or just a normal show that happens to be funny. The show managed to make me laugh at times, so there's already a reason to like this. But of course, it's a Flipnote show, so there's Flipnote audio, and maybe it's just because there's no color, but I really couldn't tell what the contestants were until their names were said.
Everything in this show is pretty good. The jokes deliver amazingly, and as a first episode, it feels pretty fresh. The prize is pretty original, and some of the powers are from the host, who I could assume is a glue stick, is honestly really cool. I don't like the team names, but that's just a personal thought.
The host literally does what 4 does, but okay. The show is overall really cool, and normally I wouldn't watch stuff like this, but the show actually makes Flipnote shows enjoyable for me. Hashtag Team Girly Girl.
The voice acting is surprisingly pretty well. There wasn't a single character who I didn't like the voice of. And I really like that they added the effect of Walkie Talkie's voice. It's a nice touch.
Yeah, 100% original choice. No hate though. The show is really good and I recommend it. We should get to the scores. I'm gonna give a 4 for writing, 3.5 for voice acting, 3 for animation, 3.5 for design, 4 for editing and creativity, giving me a total of 22 out of 30.
I'll give 4 for writing, 5 for voice acting, 5 for animation, 3.5 for design, 5 for editing, and 4.5 for creativity. Overall, 27 out of 30. And now, I'll move on to the next review.
It is time for my redemption.
So there's an Amolite on this show.
Nevi, shh. It's not like you said it a bajillion times before. Yes, that word exists now. Also, there's a moon.
Shut yourself! Anywho, the animation for this was amazing. Everything was so smooth and stayed in the style.
Agreed. I've seen a lot of people complain about the eyelashes, but I actually think it's quite charming. It really fits the style of the show too. Which, by the way, the design is amazing. I love everything about it. Backgrounds, assets, I really just sort of dislike the way the limbs are done in some scenes. Really minor issue though.
The voice acting is good for the most part. However, that's a big however. Baseball bat and sippy cup have the same voice, and chopsticks and bottle caps voices are really annoying.
Yeah, mostly agreed. Besides that though, the voices were really good. I especially like Booze, and God, that one notebook character that tried to audition really sounded like my voice acting, and it freaking me out.
As someone who didn't watch Unusual Battle, I was kinda left confused. I have zero idea who the characters are, and I personally don't like the whole setting up for the competition takes up the entire episode.
On the contrary, I really like the concept. I think it's a good way to introduce the characters, and yes, I'm repeating myself, but it's really charming. I can't think of any other word for it.
I mean, I can see why, but I personally couldn't find it too interesting. I think Bottlecap's personality is extremely repetitive, and anytime he's on screen, it's annoying. I like the personalities and hobbies they give some of the characters, like a music creator, or whatever fucking Tape did before she got into the station. It's a nice touch. However, I don't like how Sippy Cup only got, like, one line.
About editing, I really see no issues about it whatsoever. I can tell you weren't really supposed to be focusing on the music, since it's so quiet, but I see that as a good thing in this case. Really no issues with this. Scores time?
Scores time. So I'll give writing 4 points, voice acting 3, animation 5, design 5, editing 4, and creative 3.5. Overall, a total of 24.5 out of 30.
For me, it'll go as writing 4.5 points, voice acting 3.5 points, animation 5, design 4.5, editing 5, and creativity 5. In total, 27.5 out of 30.
And now, on to the next review. Right, okay, so we've had these 3. Who's next?
I think I could do this myself, family. Thank you very much.
Excuse me? That's not your show.
Say that to Miss Frying Pan.
Oh, not a.
Nighty night. I miss doing that. All eyes on me, ladies and gents. Right, back to the review. Although I haven't heard of this show previous to episode 3, I'm surprised that I haven't. The writing on this show isn't that bad compared to other shows I've seen. However, it isn't perfect. I ain't gonna go balls to the wall like that with non-existing livings. Which I would tweak that review if I could. In terms of Anarchy, the jokes in this show land really well, and there is some concept in the show that's really creative. Being Russian doll actually opening up like, well, a Russian doll. Then again, I've been compared to those in the past. Apparently I'm full of myself, but I don't see it. The voice acting is the weakest part of the show. Circle sounds like he's doing an ASMR video in the middle of the night. Can I also add that Toast's voice can be worked on? I don't know if Toast is meant to sound like it, but it sounds like Stitch on helium. The backgrounds are very pixelated in most of the episode, but it does show some artistic designs that I wouldn't think of. I think what I'm most surprised with this show is that it has the actual moral coming out of the episode about friendship. My god, I think I might have gagged. Let's see, Amalek's notes. He just wanted to say that the episode's challenge is quite original and unique to the show. Oh, and 2 wishes idea executed greatly with the one contestant asking for a team swap, and oh my god, Amelie, why is there a I swear Popsicle and Flashlight are lesbians, goddammit, on your fucking notes? Jesus Christ. Anyway, with all that covered, I'll be giving writing a 4, voice acting a 2.5, 4 for animation, 4 for design, 3 for editing, and creativity a 4.5. That should be a total of 22 out of 30. Morning, sleepyhead. I felt so lonely without you around. Apologize for making me feel unloved.
You hit me with a goddamn frying pan. Also, ew, what the fuck, Andy?
Oh, you actually thought I was serious? I was just making a reference to Danganronpa peeps. Now, give your scores so we can end this review.
Fine. I give writing a 4.5, voice acting 3.5, animation a 3, design 4, editing a 4.5, and creativity 5, giving a grand total of 24.5 out of 30. Apparently, I'm the nice one between 2 of us. How surprising.
No shit, Amo. I mean, when have I ever been nice to you?
I hate you.
Love you too, Snookums. Anyway, let's move on to the next review, darlings.
I honestly just wanna die. Alright, so for this review I decided to give a guest a break and do this alone. So, writing was confusing. There were some really awesome jokes, and the characters and their introductions were interesting, but the challenge was really weird. The explanation didn't give it a lot at all, and I still don't understand the concept of the challenge. If they need to admit their secrets, why is it that problematic? Why do they need to put it on others? What's the point of the entire challenge if it's just to confess or not confess? How do you lose? How do you win? Just so many things I couldn't understand at all. Voice acting was pretty good. Ebaf's voice was the best, but Poison's was really hard to listen to. Characters like that needs to stop, honestly. Animatic is really good. I love the style of the show. The limbs had a really nice style, and I think it really fit with the show. The design is amazing. Like, you can see how much detail they put into everything. The backgrounds, the assets, it's so pleasing. Editing-wise, I think it was dope. The music cut right at the right time, and everything had sound effects, which makes this feel so much more realistic. And for creativity, as creative as the challenge was, it was just really confusing, so I can't do it anyway. And the characters and their occupations are also a nice touch. So, to sum up, I'll give writing 3.5, voice acting 4.5, animation and design 5, editing 5, and creativity 4, a total of 27 out of 30. Now, on to the 6th review.
Up until watching this episode, I haven't seen anything of this object show, and the first thing I want to say is the animation is absolutely incredible. The style is hand-drawn like most shows are nowadays, however it's got its own unique style to it. I don't know how to describe it.
The action scenes at the beginning were legit the best I've ever seen from any object show. They were so smooth and the audio synced in perfectly. Same with lip sync in general. Nothing seemed off for it.
Although this show does have some flaws. For one thing, the voice acting was okay, but the issue I have is that 90% of the characters sound the same, and that's probably because Animation Dude voice acts almost every character. I would highly suggest hiring more voice actors for the future, so that way the viewers don't gotta listen to the same voice for the entire episode.
The writing for this wasn't the best. A lot of the script felt cliche, and the challenge is overused as hell, and didn't really put any creative aspect. The plot is pretty interesting, but the characters seem really plain. The singing part was legit cringy to me, it felt unnecessary. I also don't like how there's no music at all. It made everything feel really awkward.
One other positive thing I can say about this show is the designs for the characters and backgrounds. Although we thought you stole clapboards from BFTD. But the character bodies look real cool, and the backgrounds, although they look sorta basic and simple, I think it fits with the style of the show. I think I've said everything I needed to say. Shall we start scoring?
Yep, so I'll give 3.5 for writing, voice acting gets 2, animation gets 5, design gets 4, editing gets 3.5, and creativity gets 3, a total of 21 out of 30.
For me, I'll be giving writing a 3, voice acting a 2, animation a 5, design gets 4.5, editing a 3, and creativity a 2.5. A total score of 20 out of 30. Okay, can I throw you in my quicksand now?
On to the next show.
Oh boy, do I have a lot to say about this episode. You better hold on to your hard hats because I'm about to probably give some of the harshest criticism I've ever given.
Honestly though, the animation is a huge improvement. It's not as stable and balanced as before, but you can see they actually put effort into trying to make it look as similar as possible, and I applaud them for that.
The voice acting, once again, was amazing. Not much to say here because it's, well, great every episode.
And the design is still rocking. However, and that's a big however, the writing for this episode was absolute pure minus. We all got so mad over the simple unlogic there was and how BFB basically debunked themselves with their jokes. And again, most jokes other than like 2 fell really flat.
Oh, and don't even get me started on the entire challenge part. Like, actually that made me so fucking upset to the point where I just wanted to stop watching. The entire challenge is to find a way to cool X down. And nobody thought of just pouring an ice bucket on X until Leafy magically brings it up. In fact, why the fuck did they not do that back in BFB 19? Like, huh? Also, what the hell were all the points for if they didn't even have a purpose in the entire episode? Everything about the script bothered me.
So much filler and nothing makes fucking sense. I mean, they were on the sun. Oh god. Overall enjoyment from writing is still absolutely below 0. It's something about the last 4 episodes that made them all put all the writing efforts aside, and it's so annoying. Editing wise, it was pretty okay. I mean, I'm personally sick of BFB music because of how overused it is, but the music wasn't too loud and it did quite fit the scenes.
I agree, some of the BFB tracks used in the episode are pretty overused and outdated at this point, but that's really the only major downside to the editing. I liked some of the transitions into the other scenes as well. Anyways, should we get into scores now?
Yeah, I'll give writing 1, voice acting, animation, and design 5, editing 4, and creativity 3. Overall, 23 out of 30.
I'll give voice acting a 5, animation a 4.5, design a 5, editing a 3.5, creativity a 3, and writing a -1 for being so confusing and unnecessary. That's a total of 20 out of 30. Ouch.
And now, I'll slide into the next review.
Never say that again, please.
Oh, alright, I use that as my new catchphrase. Thanks, 10.
I actually hate you.
2 things about myself. I don't have the attention span to watch things, and 2, I'm very picky, so to say I like the show is a very rare compliment, and today, one gets it. Animation on its own as an art form is incredibly vast, making it nearly limitless. A frequent critique that I've given object shows in the past is that more times than not, they do not try to explore the limitless boundaries of animation, sticking closely to what has been seen and repeated in shows of its type. One is not a show I can say fits this category. Let me explain why, beginning from its similarities to object show conventions to its differences. From a quick glance or screen cap of one, it looks more like another object show than not. The style of both the assets and the backgrounds becomes reminiscent of BFB and other flash-drawn shows. However, playing with the slower pacing at the beginning of the episode, one's use of this style becomes cinematic, with shots such as the bicycle shot acting as reminders that there is much that can be done with the style that J&J capitalized off of. Another aspect of the design that I really want to bring up is one's use of diegetic and non-diegetic sound. As far as sound design and object shows go, it really doesn't go anywhere. I believe I speak for everyone when I say that there has been enough Kevin MacLeod and Minecraft footstep sounds. Despite it all, the convention remains. There's a higher focus on the soundtrack of a show rather on the diegetic noise and the atmosphere of it. One reverses this convention. The focus lies on the sound of the wind and crickets and the general atmosphere. It took a second watch of one to realize that there was a soundtrack within it at all, as it's neatly hidden within the atmospheric sound. This was probably one of my favorite things about the show, as the diegetism made it a pleasant watch, and the soundtrack that was made fit in nicely with the appeal of the world Cheesy has created. The last thing I want to discuss is the writing, which, despite being a writer myself, I can't quite describe. If I were to describe the plot of one with a sentence, it would merely sound like every other. Several objects get teleported to a strange world to compete in an object show. However, one's execution of this concept makes it truly special. Mixed in with the talents of the voices, the reaction of the contestants feels genuine. I've seen enough, "Oh no, we're in a weird place, what are we ever gonna do?" throughout various object shows. Throughout the writing, I could feel the various anxieties of the characters. It is known that they have lives outside of this, jobs to do and families to take care of. Tomato is very literally a baby. There is a sense of uncertain fear throughout it all, and that's what separates it from shows of its liking. I'm very excited about what the next episodes will bring. As the prophet Anthony Fantano once said, I'm feeling a strong 9 to 10 on this episode. Or, in Moser speak, a 5 on everything, meaning a 30 out of 30.
You're done?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't have to do anything? Sick! But honestly, I think the writing for this was amazing. Having 6 characters in a competition show is really creative, and you can see each character has its own roles and setups, and there's a fucking baby in the competition. Who allowed this? Voice acting wise, I love the host's voice. It's so monotone, yet it really suits the character. Design wise, this was incredible. Every detail was counted. Character assets, backgrounds, the wooden poles, everything. The bridge looks mesmerizing, and the show knows how to pitch an aesthetic to the right scenes. The animation was really consistent for a hand-drawn style, and editing was neat. The sound design on this episode is the best I've seen in any object show. So, we should get to the scores. Since I don't think there's something I really disliked about this episode, I'll give it all 5, meaning 30 out of 30. Now, on to the 9th review. Well, this was quite a surprise for me. For an episode that's 45 minutes long, as a first episode, I wasn't sure what to expect at all.
A 45-minute episode took me 2 hours to watch.
Well, it's not like it was a total waste of time to watch, it was actually really good.
The entire 45 minutes were really intriguing. Even after the introduction of the characters and the setup of the competition that took a long time, it still had me really hooked onto the episode. The challenge was honestly really creative. I personally don't like how there's Inkling and a Creeper in the show, but that's just a personal opinion. Shape having powers that can be a bit confusing at times, but I think it has a really good potential.
Some shows with large casts can't really get character intros right, but I think this is where the episode length comes in. You have time to get to see the characters and not just have them quickly rush because of the cast number. I feel obligated to applaud that.
Shows with larger casts often sacrifice introduction of character for shorter runtimes and higher production qualities. If one decides to have a longer runtime to introduce each character, it often lacks creative directions. Moss summed everything up. Good story with good creative direction.
The voice acting was actually all really good. Foibal's voice sounded so real and genuine. A voice like that is really hard to pull off, so big props to whoever voiced her.
The voice acting was alright, though I felt like some voice actors lacked enthusiasm. I overall didn't mind it.
Yeah, voice acting was great and all, but let's get to the good stuff. The animation for the episode was done so well. Even for something going for the BFB style, it was all so pleasing to look at and kinda adorable for some characters, not gonna lie.
Other than like 3 scenes, it absolutely nailed consistency.
I liked the simplicity and colors of the design. It was very pleasing to look at. I could comment on the animation lacking, but keeping in mind that this was a 45-minute episode, it was impressive.
Let's talk about the design though. So freaking good. I mean, like, I couldn't tell what some characters were until they were mentioned, but they were just so simple and clean.
The backgrounds were really impressive too. Landscape looked awesome. Editing wise, this all went really smoothly. The music was mixed nicely with the voice acting so it won't overlap, and the voice acting all had the same volume.
There's something we can all agree on. The creativity of the show is there. From the characters to the challenge, it's all creative and I love it.
Alright, so let's get talking points. I'll give 4.5 for writing, voice acting 5, animation 4.5, design 5, editing 5, and creativity 5. A total of 23 out of 30.
A strong Fantano 7, or a total of 27 out of 30, losing 2 points in writing and 1 in animation.
I'm gonna give a 5s for writing, voice acting, editing, and creativity, and then 4.5s for animation and design, a total of 29 out of 30.
And now, onto the 10th review. Oh, never mind, this pun's not gonna know anyone. 10 isn't in this review.
Ammo, why the hell are we rating this show? It's literally another open source objects type of show.
You mean a collaboration object show?
Don't get smart with me. Why are we rating this?
Because, unlike OSO, not everything is open. Writing has to follow a very certain degree, voice acting was chosen by the organizers, same with design, and editing is by one person. The only thing we can't criticize this is for animation, as that is completely open.
Ah, I see. Well then, for this, let's just go down everything one by one. The voice acting is first because I want to criticize Amelie's voice acting.
I regret putting you on this one.
It's not bad, but comparing your voice acting from here and from other shows, like your own, you could tell this audio was recorded a while ago, which I can't criticize due to the fact that I have seen Object Show audio being a year old before. It has an effect on the fact that there are some people like yourself that don't sound completely right. Am I the only one who thinks this? I do think the voice acting is good for the show, but there's some voices that stand out too much from the characters they voice.
I think the voice acting was really good. It's pretty much fit most of the characters, if not all. The writing for this was pretty smooth too. I still didn't quite understand the full concept of this show and what it will be about, but I guess it's for future episodes.
Okay, I'm not going to beat around the bush here. I honestly like the writing, but it needs some improvements. I know this show has proper guideline, unlike OSO, but there are some things where I'm confused on what the hell is going on. There was some parts when I was intrigued by how Blank doesn't have a mouth, or Yearbook being a cocky asshole and trying to take credit or making a discovery. You know, you can actually compare that personality to someone else I know. The idea of the show is like OSO, but it has some differences that make it better compared to OSO. The first being a smaller cast to focus on, and the host being some sort of program, which by the way was surprising to see the O on top was actually the host, so nice touch.
Design was actually pretty good. I personally don't like the backgrounds that change in each part. I think that they should have a set of backgrounds and make them do the scenes with them. The assets look really good though.
Agreed. I know it isn't a category, but can I mention the music used? Proper tunes if I say so myself.
So with that, we should get to the points then. I'd give writing 4.5, voice acting 4, design 5, editing 5, and creativity 4. A total of 22.5 out of 25.
I better rate this too. Too lazy to say so. There, the scores are on screen.
Why do you cause me to suffer?
Because it's my job. Now, time for the next review.
Oh boy, another BFB OFA styled show.
Well, in my opinion, it was a decent starter. The writing for the episode was alright, and I liked the team names, and I thought the challenge was pretty creative too.
I think the price for this show is really creative. A keyboard that does commands in your own world could give a big existential crisis though.
Some of the characters are really creative too, and the way they're portrayed is absolutely insane. Index cards, for example. Holy hell. That's one of the most creative ideas for a silent character I've ever seen in a damn long time. Same with spare Legos. I like how the character is portrayed.
The writing of this show for me, I wasn't much of a fan of. I tried to enjoy it, but it all felt a bit too familiar to me and sounded just like a standard object show. Just nothing special caught my eye. Although I did like the challenge.
Personally for me, if I wasn't a fan of something in this episode, it was voice acting. A lot of the characters sound monotone or have the exact same voice, like Lost Water Bottle and Grandfather Clock, or Water Conditioner and Water Jug.
I agree. I believe the voice actors could try to differentiate their voices, or at the very least hire new voice actors for the show. Although, on a more positive note, I like the appeal and design for the show. The designs for the backgrounds were marvelous, and the character bodies and such look great.
The design was legit astonishing. The backgrounds looked really simple yet diverse, same with the assets. Although it was kinda hard for me to understand what mini speaker was at first. Looks like a pan. Or a metal.
Animation wise, it was alright for a BFB styled show. Index cards transitions were very smooth though, I'll give them that. As well as pretty much the rest of the transitions in this episode.
Not only are the animation transitions smooth, but I believe some credit should go to the audio. The editing for the audio was perfect for landing jokes and all that, like the scene where Mini Speaker got struck by the lightning was freaking hilarious and had the perfect comedic timing. Probably the best part of the episode in my opinion.
Well then, I think we should get to the scores. I'll give writing 3.5, voice acting 3.5, animation, design, editing 5, and creativity a 4. A total of 27 out of 30.
Writing for me will get a 3.5. Animation was a 4.5. Design a 5. Voice acting a 3. Editing 5, and creativity a 4.5. That's a total of 25.5 out of 30.
I'll give writing 4, voice acting 3, animation 4, design 5, editing 4, and a 4 for creativity, making my score a 24 out of 30.
I, the wonderful and famous Quicksand Queen 114, will be giving a writing 3, voice acting a 3, animation a 4.5, design a 5, editing a 5, and creativity a 4. That sums up to 24.5 out of 30.
So I guess that's a wrap. Now leave.
If you think I'm going back to that basement, you're wrong. I have totally important, very important, extremely needed, required business to attend. It's totally not just standing double trouble from Shira. Nope, not at all.
But I still didn't get to shove you into my quicksand yet!
Well, I'm famished. So, who wants to go back to the basement while we wait for JoJo Part 6 to be announced?
Oh, hell no. I'm not going down there just to watch JoJo. Also, I don't want to die down there again because I've been killed 2,763 times, all by quicksand, while I was down there.
What? It's nice there. I've been there for 3 years.
Wait, does that mean I'm going down there with them?
Watch Galactic Conquest episode 1, please. It's so close to 25k and I want to get it before 25k before August, so please, yes, please.
I guess I'll plug in Clash of Cornflakes for when it comes out. Hopefully August. But yeah, let's make a fucking riot!
Oh hell no, I'm leaving, bye. Anywho, thank you so much for sticking to the end of this. The series is achieving a year is quite insane. Honestly, the fact that people watch this, even though it's just some dumb guy on the internet saying his opinions, really does mean a lot to me. The only reason that I do MOSER is to help people as another creator, and I'm really glad to see that it actually does help some people and that they do take their criticism. I know that it seems sometimes that I'm demanding or that I think that I'm above anyone and that, you know, everyone should listen to me and because I do this show. But I'm really not. I'm just trying as a fellow creator, as someone who wants to see other people's success, to help as much as I can. And I chose to help with criticism, and I get that it's kind of a tough spot to come from. And I'm sorry if I do sound a bit harsh sometimes. If you can, just subscribe if you want to stay tuned for more MOSER. Thanks to the other people. It was really cool that they actually wanted to participate and help in this anniversary. And I'll catch you all next month.
I told you I wanted a riot! See you in October!